So with all this talk about a refresh Model S and X, I can't help but to think, could a refresh of Model S and X really help save the S and X lineup from eventually being discontinued? And a lot of this kind of stemmed from a Twitter poll I did recently, is if the refresh S and X drop, will you A, upgrade a current S and X that you have, B, buy a new one, C, not buy a new one, or D, no refresh because you hate fun? We had 1,300 people vote in this. The 16% of you that said no refresh, you hate fun, boo. But I was actually surprised. 34% of you said you would buy a new S or X that's not upgrading a current one, which is a very large number to me. That's pretty significant. I think a refresh will really encourage more people to jump into it.
Yeah, it definitely shows a lot of new sales, I think.
Exactly. For the past 2 years, S and X production and deliveries have been pretty constant. They really haven't jumped a lot or anything like that. And that can be a cause for potential concern of Tesla realizing it's not really growing. Yeah. Why don't we just discontinue it and save that money?
They did sell a lot more S and X a couple years ago, but that's before the 3 and the Y came out.
Exactly. Once you have the 3 and the Y, the S and X just don't seem as appealing, especially when 3 and Y are getting all this new tech. So starting in Q1 of 2019, Tesla produced 14,000 S and X. In Q2 of 2019, they produced 14,515. In Q3 of 2019, you can see they were about 16,000. Q4, 17 to 19,000. But in 2020, you can see 15 to 12,000. And then Q2 of 2020 was rough. They only produced 6,300 and delivered 10,000. And then Q3 of 2020, they were at 17,000 and 15,000 deliveries. So you can see a trend there that it's stable, which is great to see, but at the same point, it's not growing. And that can be a cause for concern. But I really think if Tesla put a little bit of time and effort into a refresh, S and X could be huge and really help take over the likes of like Audi, BMW, Volvo.
We see that Lucid is coming out.
Yep.
There's a lot more competition coming up, so Tesla needs something to refresh the line and to prevent people from skipping off of Tesla to another brand.
And I definitely think that Model 3 and Y can still be the cheaper variants, and they don't necessarily need all these extras. But as premium vehicles like the S and X are, I really think they could use some extra things. So with Fremont being shut down, their 18-day shutdown has turned into like almost 24, 25 days now.
At least from what we can tell, we haven't seen that any cars have been produced. So it's possible that they have either not started back up, or if they did start production back up, they're working at a slower rate because they're doing new production processes.
Yeah, and none of those cars have actually been taken outside to get prepped for shipping or anything. So anything they produce is inside, and they don't have a ton of room in there. So I would say, yeah, either A, not producing, or B, going at a very slow pace to really dial in all the new features.
And so hopefully in the next few days, we'll be seeing some of these cars out on the parking lot. And that's how other changes have been spotted in years past.
Exactly. So obviously we'll see anything exterior pretty much right away, but the interior features can sometimes take until deliveries to really be able to notice.
So one other reason that a refresh is pretty much a given is that there was a 5,000 pound increase over in the UK several weeks back, and all orders for new vehicles were said to take several months. And we know that typically it does take a while for U.S. manufactured cars to make it over to Europe, but now we're seeing that even orders for both the S and the X in the United States are being delayed as well.
So basically we have an order in for a new S and a new X, and both of those are saying 7 to 11 weeks for delivery, which at this point will almost put us into Q2.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, March is going to be a busy month, I think, for them again. But again, the volume, it's much smaller than for the 3 and the Y. So even if they get 15,000, if they can get that out in the first quarter, that'd be good. Also, Elon did send out that little holiday message to his employees talking about how they need time to refresh.
And you know Elon loves his Easter eggs, as do we. So I really think there's a lot more to that than meets the eye. But there was also a recent corporate memo sent out to tell employees and the sales departments to try to liquidate all S and X inventory by the end of January.
Yeah, and we've seen like...
Why would you do that?
We've seen at Tesla locations all around the world,
Yeah.
they're no longer... A lot of them don't have the S and X on display anymore because they're selling their display models as well as all the inventory models they have.
Which is a very good indicator that something big is about to happen.
Basically, they don't want to get stuck with those vehicles when the new model is announced or upgraded model is announced, because otherwise they're not going to sell because people will want the latest and greatest.
And some other things that we think would be new on S and X, a heat pump. They have it in the 3, they have it in the Y. It makes sense to bring it over to the S and X, being all the great benefits and added range that would provide.
And also we saw that the factory in Ireland stopped, their contract ended, and they were the ones that were building the resistance heater for Tesla. And since that contract did end, they're going with a heat pump.
The 3 and the Y have a beautiful horizontal display, and I really think for all the new features coming to the Tesla, like theater and everything, a horizontal display is what's needed now. It's no longer vertical.
Yeah, and hopefully it's going to be somewhat larger. Like we saw with the Cybertruck, maybe it will be a 17-inch screen or larger in the S and X. Another thing with the screen, I know a lot of people don't mind how the screen is on the 3 and the Y, but a lot of people who are used to the screen on the S and X like how it looks integrated and more built into the dash instead of slapped on. So it would be interesting to see if the S and X, if it is more included in the dash. Still close to the driver, a little easier for the driver and the passenger access, but maybe a little more
incorporated to it.
Look, more finished, yeah.
A screen behind the steering wheel, an instrument cluster of some sort, or a heads-up display, just to give it that extra premium feel.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they have at least another screen. And I know that some people have said that it looks like there's support for up to 3 screens, but we don't know if that means, the instrument cluster and the main screen and something else, such as the rear for controls for the rear passengers, or it could be that they're going to have little screens available for the side mirrors. Or the side cameras, I guess. Another
possibility is upgraded seats. We've seen the Lucid, when they premiered, their seats look amazing. A lot of car manufacturers now in their premium cars have heat, cool, massage, all that kind of stuff. And currently, Tesla only offers heated seats. They offered air-conditioned seats for a while, but they sucked, no pun intended, and they no longer offer those. Maybe those would come back.
Also, it'd be nice if they added some sort of extended thigh support, because on some long road trips, it's like my legs can... And I don't have long legs, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of support right there behind your knee. Most of our viewers might not know this, but the Model S, the rear seats don't recline at all.
No.
And that's something that the Y has, at least. You can recline up slightly, and the X, you can at least tilt the second row seats. But the seats in the S, they're okay for shorter rides, but if you're going to be on a longer trip, it would be nice if you could recline those somewhat. And if you've seen those seats in the Lucid Air, they look very comfortable for the second row passengers.
They look like they recline a lot.
And also kind of going towards the Model X, it would be nice if the second row 6-seater finally had fold flat seats. That's something that originally we had a reservation for the Model X back in 2016, because when the X was first unveiled, they showed it had fold flat second row seats. But when the X was finally released, it didn't have that, and so we went ahead and switched the order over to an S.
Another thing we would like to see, and it could even be brought over from the 3 and the Y, is that air vent. Something more sleek and more, almost like futuristic, something like a long air vent. Maybe it's broken up, but strips of air vents would be really nice.
Another thing we expect to see with a refreshed X and X would be a chrome delete. Basically, they're going to get rid of the chrome. So another thing we're going to see with the S and X is they're going to be changing the motors. We saw it back in 2019, Tesla did change it so it had motors similar to the Model 3, where they're different sizes.
Yeah.
And so you can get different efficiencies when you're on highway and stuff. But I'm expecting, especially with the Plaid S that's coming out, they're going to have more powerful motors than are currently available.
Yep, and kind of tagging along with motors is maybe a newer battery, some newer tech or some newer chemistry, something in there to give us even more than the long range that it's called now, or 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. Maybe we'll see 120? Is that too much to ask?
It'll be interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see if do they stay with the 18650 cells.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go to the 2170 cells. That's what the 3 and the Y use.
Yep.
But I don't think, since we already know the 4680 cells are coming out, I don't see them doing a temporary build of 2170s. No. But maybe they could come out maybe with the same body. If they're not going to totally change to the 4680 exoskeleton cell frame, maybe they would be able to just use existing like floor plan and change the battery pan to accommodate the 4680 cells. Who knows?
And we've talked about this in a few of our live streams, is maybe Project Roadrunner, which is building those 4680s that Tesla owns right now, maybe they're further ahead and Elon has just kind of been sandbagging the timeline a little bit.
Especially if they're only expecting 15,000 vehicles per quarter. That's something that they could probably handle the production needs for. New center console, something that would allow dual phone charging.
Yeah.
Because the current S and X console can only charge one phone at a time with the current factory option.
So one of the biggest things I've seen that's, I would say, probably the most controversial about potential updates is Tesla deciding if they should get rid of the Falcon Wing doors or not. Personally, if they get rid of the Falcon Wing doors, I'm canceling my order.
Yeah, the Falcon Wing doors are definitely...
It's what makes the car.
Exactly. And when Elon first talked about the Model X, he was saying it's the Fabergé egg of cars. It is very unique, and a lot of people got the X just because of those Falcon Wing doors. Some people, again, kind of like with Chrome, some people love them, some people don't.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that if they would keep them on the Model X, if they ever do come with another version that did not have the Falcon Wing doors, I think it would be more of a minivan, and they would come out and just call it a different model.
Yeah. I can't see them doing that because then the X is no longer an X.
And also they've spent the years perfecting those, making them more reliable.
And the R&D
and so
development,
to just get rid of them now, but also that just makes the car stand apart, and it really definitely attracts attention.
And another big thing is the exterior. I would think something has to change because really the Model S is very similar to what a 2012 looked like besides a front bumper.
With the 2016 changes. So I would expect like new headlights, other things too, maybe some slight body changes. I still love the look of the S. I was riding behind my S today. It still is a really nice looking car, even after all these years. But it would be nice maybe if they did just tweak it just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
You could tell that the newer models are different.
Exactly. Maybe something with the front fenders. Maybe get rid of that chrome strip under the two doors. I've never been a fan of that, really. Yeah, especially if they're going to de-chrome the whole car.
And we've seen them change the rear diffuser back in 2016 slightly. So who knows, maybe another change to the rear diffuser.
And please, if anyone at Tesla has say in this, bring back the sunroof for Model S. Yeah. That's all we ask for.
Still love the sunroof.
And even someone on Twitter came up with some sweet renderings of a potential new Tesla with like a whole light bar on the rear. So where the applique is currently, it could be a whole light bar connecting the two taillights. I thought that design was actually kind of cool. There's a lot of other things they can do. But maybe even on the front bumper, combine it.
But also the charge port. We've seen that in Europe. They've changed the 3 since the beginning has had a larger charge port so they could accommodate a CCS plug. Yeah. So eventually, it would be nice if the US version had that on the S and X included. That way you don't need to use an adapter and you could charge at full CCS charge rates. Another thing that S and X might be that return of that unlimited supercharging.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that in the past, the S and X cost a lot more than the 3Y, but that came with free unlimited supercharging for life. Yeah. And while some people might not ever go on a road trip, a lot of people have taken advantage of that over the years. And if you're paying a premium for the car, I can see, even if it's not unlimited,
a set amount.
Give a set amount.
Yeah.
And Tesla did at one time offer like a balance of 400 kilowatt hours per year, which gives you a limit, but still allows you to do some of those road trips at no cost.
Yeah, that would be really nice to see. But yeah, that's kind of what we had originally thought about what Tesla could do for the S and X to really put S and X back on the map, make it a more desirable vehicle for people, and help increase sales. Because at the end of the day, sales are really what makes the wheel go round.
And the cool thing too is I think that this S and X refresh, when they do come out, I think that's going to be leading kind of into what the Roadster is going to be like.
Exactly. I have a feeling there's going to be some crossover there. Definitely comment down below what your attitude is on this. If Tesla does come out with this refresh S and X, is it something that you would be interested in? Would it sway you to get rid of a current S or X, or even from another car manufacturer and bring you over? Definitely comment down below and we can talk about it down there. As always though, huge thank you to our channel sponsor, Abstract Ocean. If you're looking to accessorize your Model S, X, 3, or Y, much like this one, definitely check them out, all linked down below. And using the code Tesla Inventory will get you 15% off of your first purchase. Our 2 must-have accessories are definitely going to be a center console wrap. Really helps protect that piano gloss black material. And if you do have that new center console, they actually have options for you to be able to protect that new one as well as make it your own. As well as a matte screen protector, really helps cut down any glare from the sun, as well as its oleophobic surface will help cut down any fingerprints. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thumbs up if you did. Go ahead and click here to subscribe here for some other ones, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.